Alternate history scenario, the Romney era 2012. Romney wins the presidency in the 2012 U.S. presidential election. Mitt Romney successfully defeats incumbent President Barack Obama in a tight race. Romney's victory is attributed to his stronger economic proposals, which promise to stimulate job growth and address the nation's growing fiscal concerns. His platform emphasizes a tough stance on immigration, bolstered by a promise to secure America's borders at all costs. He frames the race as a choice between American strength and Obama's foreign policy weakness and domestic overreach. The border walls, the Romney doctrine of security. Soon after taking office, President Romney begins implementing an unprecedented border security plan, which includes not only the construction of a physical wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, but also extends to creating barriers along the maritime borders with Cuba and Russia. He justifies this decision as a measure to protect the U.S. from potential threats, especially following increased international tensions and concerns about illegal immigration and national security. The Mexico border wall. Romney's promised wall along the southern border becomes a reality, but it is built with cutting-edge technology and massive infrastructure, including drones and surveillance networks. The wall is not only a physical barrier, but also a symbol of his commitment to national security and sovereignty. The maritime wall with Cuba, a lesser-known but controversial part of Romney's plan, is the construction of fortified maritime zones along the U.S.-Cuba boundary. This includes the creation of massive, heavily patrolled no-fly zones and sea barriers to monitor and prevent illegal migration, drug smuggling, and other illicit activities. Cuba, under Fidel Castro's leadership, strongly protests, but Romney's administration counters by increasing economic sanctions and calling for a complete end to the Castro regime. The Russian border wall. Most surprising of all is the decision to create an elaborate border wall along the maritime boundary between Alaska and Russia. The wall is symbolic, designed to prevent espionage and any potential Russian influence on U.S. territory. The decision stems from growing fears of Russian expansionism in Eastern Europe and the Arctic, as well as cyber attacks targeting U.S. infrastructure. Tensions with Russia skyrocket, but Romney maintains a strong stance, pushing for the U.S. to assert its dominance in the Arctic region. 2016. The Romney-Clinton election in 2016. President Romney runs for re-election against former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who is the Democratic nominee. The race is fiercely contested, as Clinton capitalizes on Romney's controversial policies, particularly his border walls, and their negative impact on international relations. Clinton argues that Romney's foreign policy is overly aggressive and isolationist, calling for more diplomacy and engagement with the rest of the world. However, Romney's economic policies and a booming stock market give him an edge. The economy is performing well. Unemployment is at its lowest point in years, and manufacturing has seen a revival due to Romney's trade deals. His tough stance on immigration and national security resonates with conservative voters, as well as those fearful of globalization and economic stagnation. Romney narrowly wins the 2016 election, but the victory is far from easy. The nation remains divided, with deep political polarization, especially in urban versus rural areas. Trump becomes vice president in an unexpected move. Romney selects Donald Trump as his running mate for the 2016 election. Trump, who had originally ran against Romney in the 2012 Republican primaries and was critical of his policies, becomes a surprising ally after his endorsement. Romney positions him as a strong populist figure who will help connect with working-class voters and provide a tougher edge to the administration. Trump's selection is divisive. with critics accusing Romney of pandering to the far right and alt-right factions of the Republican Party. However, Romney stands firm, positioning Trump as an outsider who will help drain the swamp in Washington. The move is ultimately successful, as Trump draws strong support from disillusioned white working-class voters in swing states. Romney's second term, the Trump influence in the second term, President Romney faces increasing pressure from both sides of the political spectrum. The world becomes increasingly volatile, with tensions with Russia, North Korea, and China continuing to rise. Romney's approach remains heavily security-focused, with the continuation and expansion of military presence in the Arctic, the strengthening of border policies, and an increasingly isolationist foreign policy. Meanwhile, Vice President Trump grows in prominence within the administration. His rhetoric becomes more combative, and he begins to influence domestic policies more significantly. His tough approach to immigration enforcement and trade becomes a central aspect of the Romney administration's second term, leading to growing divisions within the country. Trump, seen as the voice of the populist right, begins laying the groundwork for a possible presidential run in 2020. In this alternate timeline, the U.S. undergoes a period of significant change under Romney's presidency, marked by heightened border security, an aggressive foreign policy, and rising political polarization. The Romney-Trump dynamic remains a potent force, leaving the future of American politics uncertain as the 2020 election looms on the horizon.